Okay, hey guys. So, as promised, look, I try to be as creative as possible. I'm not on the beach, but I had a few days that I took to, get back into my creativity, and I came back home. Well, one of my other houses in Puerto Escondido. So, I'm literally in the bus station. Like, I don't know how much more creative I could get, but I wanted to drop you guys this some other nuggets. So I got another message from somebody asking. It's kind of like a continuation of the last video that I did, and this was, we talked about like morning depression. And this woman asked me, like, how do I get out of bed? Like, what kind of like plans do you have? What suggestions do you have so I could get out of bed? And I was like, that's easy. Like, the first thing is I would recommend, making a list of all the stuff that you have to do the night before. So this helps you when you're making the list of stuff you have to do, because she mentioned, like, most of us, I mean, it doesn't mean that this is going to make your whole day better. It just means that you're going to have a few things in order, so when it's time to start back up the next day, you at least have a list of stuff that you're going to do. Now, what I like to do in my notes, which is over there, it's kind of far away from where I was plugging this up, but what I like to do is I like to put in parentheses everything that I have to do and how long it's going to take to get it done. And when I do this helps me, because then, like, a lot of times in our mind, we actually think that it's going to be, I don't know. We think, okay, it's going to take a really long time to do it. And we grandiose it in our mind when actually it's just kind of like it can only take 30, 40 minutes. So I recommend doing that. Make a list of all the stuff that you need to do the night before, and then in little parentheses, brackets, put how long it's going to take, and make sure you're using like the most amount of time. So if you know you have an email to send and you have not sent that email, don't write it down and say, it's going to take an hour. And like, I'm guilty of this. Like, one bookstore is like, we received your book. How much is it? And I haven't sent them an email back. Like, I've kind of been on the beach, and there are some places that don't have Wi-Fi, but I mean, in actuality, that I would tell myself that takes maybe 15 minutes to do, when really it could only take maybe 5 minutes. But the mental preparation to go from one place to another is also another thing. So structuring your time is one thing. And then the next, like I recommended to you guys all the time, is make a 6-month goal. Now, I have my own 6-month goal. I'm going to share that with you guys after I've finished. I've been vlogging all of this, so you're going to see it with 6 months time. You're going to be like, and I'm going to be like, yeah, I know, right? So in 6 months time, that's how it's going to be. I'm just kind of waiting, and then I'm going to have the big reveal. But you all know how I am about moving in secret and moving in silence. So the next thing I recommended is, if it's kind of harder for you to get out of bed in the morning, I recommend kind of like waiting or changing your environment. So that's what I had to do. Sometimes in your same bed, you just either need to go to a hotel room, you need to get a hostel, just change the environment so when it's going to be easier for you to wake up. And I recommend this even for praying, right? So like sometimes that spiritual warfare is heavy, you know what I'm saying? That spiritual warfare is for real. And so it's just like, wow, I definitely would recommend to take some time and be around, just change your environment. So the same energy or stuff that you have is kind of messed up. Speaking of that, this is kind of a subsect, but cleaning up your space also kind of gives it a revival. It's like a renewal of energy. So this completely helps completely, because just cleaning everything or just shifting your bed from one spot to the next, I mean, it just does wonders. Small things like that. Maybe you don't have money to get a hotel, right? But we're not talking grandiose things. We're talking about smaller things. So the next thing I recommend is being around people. Do you know sometimes that peer pressure is actually one of the best things? So I'm not talking about negative peer pressure. I'm talking about peer pressure that motivates you. So you're around friends, and maybe your friend just lost a whole bunch of weight. She's looking real good. And all of a sudden you're like, that's peer pressure, pressuring you to do things positively. the same as when you know you're being watched or when other people are around you, it's going to actually motivate and catapult you to go into a different space. So why I recommend this, so if you do need to get around other people, get a hostel, get a sleepover, tell people to come hang out. When things become new and fresh, there's a different kind of vibe that goes along with it. Morning depression is real. Sometimes it's the whole list of stuff that we have to do. I mean, when I look at if I don't break my stuff, my weeks down or my quarterly goals, I look at stuff and I'm like, whoa, this is a lot and I really want to sleep. I feel like I could skip my 4 a.m. alarm clock and go back to bed and I don't know, guys, I'm not on the beach, so I hope you can hear. So sometimes I feel like I wish I could skip my alarm and go back, and sometimes I sleep longer than I need to. So for this is what I recommend. I highly recommend to change your environment, change some of the ways and things that you're thinking. When things become too much, I want you all to recognize if you're not getting out of bed because you might be experiencing something that we call burnout. Burnout is kind of like depression. So if you're not getting out of bed because of that, then I recommend, again, some of these things will actually change, and a lot of exercise does wonders. Sometimes putting your view in sight helps. So that's for depression, but if you're in burnout, by all means, honey child, I recommend just staying in bed for the next few hours, because only you know what you can do in a day, and sometimes it's just a celebration that you got out of bed. It's not a push. So for example, I was in law school in the United States, and every day we had these crazy ambitious goals of oh my God, I'm going to get out of bed. I'm going to wake up. I'm going to study towards. I'm going to do 3 different. But that's law school. Your first year, you are so burned out. So if you're in a space of burnout, I don't recommend any of the other things, but just actually give your body and your mental space the peace that you deserve, because you only got one set of body. No, one set of body. Yeah. You only get one body, so this is important, right? It's just, it's of the utmost importance to make sure that you are genuinely resting, that you're giving yourself the time, you're affording yourself the opportunity to recover, to maybe rest and watch something. So if it comes to spiritual burnout, or you're coming into a space spiritually, because sometimes this happens to a lot of us, you set your alarm clock a few minutes earlier before you're supposed to pray at midnight, and then something else looks way more interesting on YouTube that catches your attention where you're supposed to go to a prayer. Sometimes this getting out of bed or getting started to do things, sometimes if the alarm just rings and you know it's going to ring, just try to forecast it beforehand. And I really do believe that this would help you immensely. Okay, guys, so this is just real short. I really look forward to hearing from you guys. If you have more questions, and thank you guys so much for all of the voice memos. I love the new stuff that we're doing on the channel, and all the messages and the questions. This is what? I'm so happy. Yeah. So you guys send me more of your questions, and I'd like to hear your voices. I know sometimes you're saying that your voice is broken. I don't really know what that means, but it's really important for me to listen to you guys. I want to help you answer some of these questions, and we got to navigate through life. It's just kind of how it goes. So with that said, peace be with you. Love you. Share, and subscribe if that if it helps you. All right. See you guys. Bye.